So Jimmy Kimmel was canceled by the party that said they were going to bring back free speech. And the party that said they're going to bring back free speech are celebrating Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled after years of lecturing us on cancel culture. And to anyone out there who is defending Jimmy Kimmel being canceled and saying that it was a good idea, you're clearly in cahoots with Donald Trump, and he's all you care about, because you do not care about the First Amendment. You do not care about free speech. If after years of rallying against us and saying that we were the party of cancel culture, if now you're going to turn it up full blast. Now, I can't play the clip of Jimmy Kimmel for copyright reasons, but what Jimmy Kimmel basically said, if you go watch the clip for yourself, you can be the judge. But the way that I interpreted what he said was that they spent the weekend trying to prove that the kid wasn't one of them. And I didn't hear him say out loud that the kid was one of them. It was just they tried to spend the weekend proving that it wasn't one of them. And I don't see how anyone could deny that. That's exactly what they were doing. They were trying to pass the blame and buck before they had a shred of evidence one way or the other. Before they had a shred of evidence one way or the other, they were blaming it on the left before they even knew who the kid was or where he came from or whatever. So they were trying to prove that he wasn't one of them before they even had a shred of evidence in their hand to prove it one way or the other. And then he went on to play the clip of Donald Trump bragging about the ballroom when he was asked about Charlie Kirk. Well, I played that same clip here on the channel. I showed the same thing because it seemed pretty heartless to me if you're going to sit and say that, oh, Charlie Kirk was like a son to Donald Trump. Well, when he was asked about him, he just blew it off and said, yeah, I'm building a ballroom. It's going great. And then he skipped out on the vigil. He just completely skipped out on that one and went golfing. Now, I want to ask y'all a question. How do you think that would have went over if the election had went the other way? What if the election had went the other way, Kamala Harris is the president, and let's say a popular left-leaning influencer, one who helped get her elected, were to get killed, and then she went to the beach with Doug? I have a feeling that even Fox News would be throwing a fit over that. Even they would be saying, this person tried to help her get elected and did help her get elected, and now look at the respect she's shown him. Even they would have called it out if it went the other way. But there clearly is an assault on free speech, and it's coming from the ones who said they would put a stop to it, like J.D. Vance in this clip.
Government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth. So I come here today not just with an observation, but with an offer. And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree.
You know, I honestly believe the reason the crowd kind of hesitated before they applauded and they kind of looked at each other is because they knew he was full of shit. We all knew that they were the party of Donald Trump and whatever he says goes. And J.D. Vance was once upon a time the never Trump guy, but now he's carrying out whatever Donald Trump wants to do. And we can go back and find countless reels of him, and we can sit and show reels all day long of MAGA and Donald Trump himself talking about the assault on free speech. But now Donald Trump says that in the same clip here, he says that Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he said something bad about Charlie Kirk, but also because he had no talent. Take a look.
Your Vice President, Vance, said that free speech is under attack in the UK. Do you agree with him? And Prime Minister, we saw the dismissal of a very well-known chat show host in America last night, Mr. Kimmel. Is free speech more under attack in Britain or America?
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yeah. So which one is it? Was he fired because he said something about Charlie Kirk, or was he fired because he had no talent? And either way you slice it, how does the President of the United States have a right to weigh in on this one? How does he get to decide who has talent, if that's going to be his excuse? It's not the Celebrity Apprentice. This is not a game show. However, he's running the country like a game show, and because this country has been living on a steady diet of reality shows for the last 25 years, then yeah, that people thinks that this is all okay. And the people that didn't like Jimmy Kimmel, that didn't even watch him anyway, are just celebrating because they would see a clip of him that would piss them off. And again, they're the party that said they were all about free speech, and we always knew better. We always knew that whatever they're projecting onto us is actually what they're going to do. But I was actually really glad to see Ro Khanna and others who are calling this out. Ro Khanna has called to subpoena Brendan Carr to come in and talk, and I think he should. And I think Ro Khanna really brings it in this next clip.
This administration has initiated the largest assault on the First Amendment and free speech in modern history. They're making comedy illegal. Brendan Carr pressured ABC to cancel Jimmy Kimmel, and Disney cancels Jimmy Kimmel. This canceling from an administration that lectured us about cancel culture. That's why today I'm introducing a motion to subpoena Brendan Carr, to bring him in front of this committee, to stop the intimidation of private businesses and to stand up for the First Amendment. Now, it's not just Brendan Carr. Attorney General Pram Bondi is prosecuting hate speech, even though hate speech is constitutionally protected. And even though we've had so many lectures from my friends on the other side of the aisle not to prosecute hate speech. And then what about our vice president, the champion of free speech, as he told us during the campaign? The vice president is telling Americans to snitch on fellow Americans who have offensive posts and to call their employers so they can be fired. And the vice president is threatening to prosecute political organizations that he disagrees with. Look, we are Article 1 of the Constitution, not footlackeys for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. It is time that we stand up for our constitutional role to defend the freedoms of Americans. People are tired of us just giving our power to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. We have an obligation to our Constitution, not to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance as they ride roughshod over the First Amendment.
He absolutely nails it in that clip, and he's right. The oath is to the Constitution, not to Donald Trump and not to J.D. Vance. And I think even J.D. Vance has lost sight of that. He took an oath to the Constitution, and he lectured us about free speech and the First Amendment. But now he's doing what Donald Trump wants, and he's out there calling for people to be doxxed, calling for people to lose their job because they say something that he disagrees with, or they say something hateful that he doesn't like the sound of. But they're the very people that sat and defended free speech forever. And I also want to point this out. You know, for him to say, well, it was because he said something bad about Charlie Kirk, it's because he had no talent. He was calling for him to be canceled a long time ago because he was making jokes about him. He was calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be canceled for a long time. And he's already saying that Seth Meyers and others should be next. And the more people bows the knee and kisses the ring every time he does this, the more he'll say, hey, I got away with that, I can get away with this. So he's just going to continue to keep doing it. And there's no adults in the room anymore that's going to try to rein it back. Everyone in his administration is there to be loyal to him. We said that here on the channel. We said he doesn't care about qualifications. He only cares about loyalty. So the Democrats that are in there are going to have to stand up. And I appreciate the Ro Khannas of the world that are standing up and calling this out. Someone's going to have to, because a lot of times it just feels like people like us got left with like a drunk uncle and there's no adults in the room. That's pretty much how it feels. It feels like your mom and dad went out of town and left you with your trashy drunk uncle that was just abusive and a prick, and now you're stuck with him, and it seems like there's no one coming to help. That's really how it feels. But I really do believe that they're exploiting Charlie Kirk's death, and they're using it to their advantage. They're using it to put the hammer down on what they wanted to do all along. And Charlie Kirk himself was always speaking up for free speech, or so he said. And that's one of the things that they talk about when they talk about him dying. They say that he died for free speech. They say that he died just trying to have an opinion. That's their take on it. But yet they cancel a guy for making a joke they didn't like. And anyone that says, well, it's because he said something bad about Charlie Kirk. No, they were calling for him to be canceled years ago. They've been calling for it forever. So anyone out there defending this move clearly is just either A, they're up Donald Trump's ass, or B, they're scared to death of him. But we're going to continue to speak the truth, and we're going to continue to exercise our First Amendment right because the Constitution protects it. And I have people all the time say, are you worried? Well, yeah, of course we are. We're all worried this day and age because we live under a regime that thinks they can get away with anything. But we will keep standing on the right side of history. We'll keep standing up for the truth, and we will keep standing up for free speech, just like we always have. It was always nothing more than a stage prop to them. That's all it was. It was just something to run on. They never meant it, and we knew that from day one.